Liam Rosenior to land his Blueco promotion. Meanwhile, Amorim's United career appears to be in jeopardy. The Garcias light up La Liga, and Brahim Diaz makes AFCON history. This is DMAC Daily. Guys, we are officially back in the big 2026, and what a story to kick off the new year. Enzo Maresca gone, just weeks after picking up the Premier League Manager of the Month award. But as we all know, things change quickly in football, particularly at a club like Chelsea, one that is synonymous with a higher fire regime, from Abramovich to the present-day Blueco ownership. This being their fourth sacking since 2022 now, with Chelsea Strasbourg coach Liam Rosenior set to take over. Now, there's a lot to be said of this entire fiasco. First things first, Maresca in totality has come out of this job a far more esteemed manager. Winning the Conference League trophy was the bare minimum expectation, but securing a top 4 finish last season and then going on to win the Club World Cup, legit impressive stuff. That elevated his status significantly. Under his leadership, it was the first time in years that a clear philosophy was actively in place. He had the respect of his players. There were further notable displays against Europe's biggest teams this campaign, but results were still inconsistent, and behind the scenes, it was starting to get ugly. Maresca repeatedly went over the head of the medical department at Chelsea in regards to managing players' minutes. Now, Maresca felt medical restrictions overly constrained his autonomy, whereas Chelsea saw this compliance as a non-negotiable. After all, they have suffered so many injuries over the past few seasons. There were also criticisms leveled around his under-reliance on young players too. The likes of Achiampong, Hato, Santos, even Esteval to a degree have seen limited minutes this season. As mentioned, results were also stagnating, with 1 win in their last 7 league matches. 15 points dropped from winning positions this season, including that UCL disaster away at Atalanta, indicated that not all was going according to plan. Maresca then started to lash out at press conferences, venting his frustration at the ownership's lack of trust. But I think the real boiling point came down to Maresca showing apparent interest elsewhere, signing with super agent Jorge Mendes first, and then informing Chelsea that he had actively been talking with the likes of Juventus and Manchester City. It's been widely reported that he could actually be the long-term successor to Pep Guardiola. Now, from the Chelsea board's perspective, they weren't convinced Maresca wanted to lead the club long-term. So with all those factors at play, they've decided it's probably for the best to get rid. Now, to do so mid-season is kind of crazy, considering there aren't many big-name managers readily available, and to whoever does come in, it's going to be difficult to immediately implement his ideas. But in typical Blueco fashion, they're just going to poach Liam Rosenior from sister club Strasbourg. Whilst it's yet to be formally announced, the deal is as good as done as far as I'm concerned. In Rosenior's own words, if something happens, it happens, and I think every coach wants to work at the highest possible level. Translation, give me the Chelsea job. I mean, he's already technically employed by the club anyway, so this should be a relatively simple transition. Now, the optics of this appointment aren't great. Maresca's reputation has grown significantly, so to oust him all of a sudden for a largely unproven manager who has never even coached in the top flight of England hasn't gone down well with both the Chelsea fan base and most football fans, really. It's a head scratcher, no doubt about it, but I also think it's naive to write Rosenior off too. Sure, his CV is devoid of silverware or any previous experience at an elite club. However, I do think his trajectory was inevitably leading towards a top job. Rosenior was excellent at Derby as an interim manager, then in his first senior appointment at Hull City took them from lower mid-table to narrowly missing out on the playoffs. Strasbourg came next, and he has since shown further promise, fielding one of Europe's youngest teams, securing European football, and showing genuine tactical acumen in his philosophy. How this will translate to Chelsea is impossible to accurately assess. Is he going to be a yes man for Blueco? Is this Graham Potter 2.0? These are all valid concerns. The lack of experience is probably the biggest immediate red flag. But reminder, Enzo Maresca arrived at Chelsea having never even managed at the top flight level. So as underwhelming as this appointment may seem, I don't think it's all doom and gloom necessarily. Maybe that's a hot take for some, but what do you guys think? Staying on the topic of Chelsea Football Club, and you know what? Forget about Rosenior. Give Callum McFarlane the job. Sky did him absolutely dirty with this graphic, but bro then unironically delivered a tactical masterclass at the Etihad, going toe-to-toe with Pep Guardiola, all without Caicedo, who I'd argue is their most important player, as Enzo Fernandez popped up in the 94th minute to salvage a point. A great result for the Blues, all things considered. For City, however, this is a massive blow to their title aspirations. Successive league draws has seen them slip 6 points behind Arsenal, as Arteta's men secured a massive result on the road to Bournemouth. Declan Rice, the hero once again, with a clutch brace. He has become their midfield colossus, an all-action box-to-box machine. However, I do think some Arsenal fans need to chill out when trying to lump him into the Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes debate. Like, he needs to be winning trophies year in, year out before we get anywhere near those conversations. Let's be real here. Nonetheless, a successful weekend for the Gunners, although we can't rule out Emery's Aston Villa just yet. A comfortable win over Forest at home sees them sit just 6 points off top spot too. Sure, they just got battered by Arsenal last week, but 9 wins in their last 10 Premier League games is seriously good form. I'd be shocked if they kept it up, but you can't rule them out. Elsewhere in the Prem, and there were some crazy results. Liverpool fans were buzzing when Gakpo popped up with a 94th minute goal. It appeared to be the match winner until in the 97th minute, Harrison Reed morphed into prime Stevie G, hitting top bins from 30 yards. Insane stuff. The points were also shared at Ellen Road, but the real story lies in the post-match press conference. Amorim had some stern words about the power dynamic at the club, saying, "I came here to be the manager of Manchester United, not to be head coach," before then attacking other members of the United hierarchy. "I will do my job, and every department, the scouting department, the sporting director, needs to do their job." Many believe this comment was solely directed towards Director of Football Jason Wilcox. There were also comments made about the influence pundits have in how United are perceived overall. This has shades of Maresca about it. I think this could be a real issue in the months ahead. Meanwhile, Igor Thiago continues his stellar Premier League campaign, bagging a hat-trick away at Everton as Brentford rise up to 7th. No Mbeumo, no Wissa, no worries. Thiago and Schade have stepped up. And at the bottom end of the table, Wolves have secured a massive 3-0 win over West Ham, their first Premier League victory 20 games into the season. It's still going to take a miracle to survive, but a huge morale boost nonetheless. The same can't be said for their opponents, however. 0 shots on target against Wolves. Espirito Santo's tenure has not gone according to plan. They are in serious trouble. Moving to La Liga, and as mentioned earlier, this was the Garcia show this past weekend. First with Barcelona picking up a massive victory over their rivals Espanyol away from home. Espanyol had won 6 on the bounce heading into this clash. It was always going to be a heated contest between La Liga's 2 most informed teams, but it was amplified further upon the return of Joan Garcia. The former Espanyol player received as hostile of a reception as he can get. He was booed, there were rat signs on display, but the goalkeeper remained unfazed, pulling off another shot-stopping clinic. At least 4 outstanding saves, his 4th clean sheet on the bounce. This guy is truly elite. And in the Spanish capital, it was another Garcia who stole the headlines. Gonzalo Garcia, in the absence of Madrid's talisman Kylian Mbappe, stepped up big time with a perfect hat-trick. Off the back of a stellar Club World Cup, he somewhat struggled for regular minutes, but what a way to kick off 2026 for both Madrid and potentially Spain too. They are in desperate need of a clinical and technical number 9 for this upcoming World Cup. On paper, he could be the answer. Elsewhere in Europe, and the Serie A title race continues to enthrall as Inter, Milan and Napoli all picked up victories. I'm not ruling out Juve and Roma just yet because they are still within touching distance. However, I do think it's going to most likely be a 3-horse race in the end. Moving to France, and it's a clear 2-horse race at this stage. PSG may have prevailed in the Paris derby, but they remain in 2nd place as unfancied Lens stay top of the table following a comfortable victory away at Toulouse, their 8th straight win, despite their squad being almost 10 times less than that of PSG's overall. That is extraordinary stuff. We'll definitely have to cover this club at length in a future vid. But to close out today's ep, we're switching gears to international football with AFCON now at the knockout stages. Yesterday saw Senegal advance to the quarterfinals with a 3-1 win over Sudan. Shout out to Sudan winger Amir Abdel Valanciunas though, who currently plies his trade at Aussie semi-pro club Avondale FC. Get this man an A-League contract ASAP. We also saw Mali upset Tunisia via penalties, the first real big upset of the tournament. And in today's action, host Morocco advanced courtesy of Brahim Diaz's lone strike, his 4th goal of the tournament, having scored in every single game, whilst Cameroon secured a hard-fought victory over South Africa. Wonder kid Christian Kafane popped up with the decisive goal, just like he did against Mozambique. Bafana were arguably the better team today, but ultimately exit at the round of 16. A really exciting group of players. I'm expecting big things ahead at this year's World Cup. Anyways, guys, that's all for today's DMAC Daily. We are now locked in for the year of 2026. It's going to be a big one in terms of content. Thanks for tuning in as always, and I'll see you tomorrow.